Yeah, so talking about EPA, DHA, I think that's possibly what most of the doctors, stop at, when it comes to recommendations of fatty acids. The recommendation is combine these two. If you have a total of 1,000 milligrams a day, then you're pretty much, you're doing great. Then you're set on the fatty acid side. I mean, is that something that you see with patients and what they're recommended?
Yeah, that's exactly, I see that all the time. And that was exactly why, and I was in the same boat because that was really what I was taught in my education. It's all this hyper focus on omega-3. Omega-3 is a panacea. And I don't want to make it sound like omega-3, DHA specifically, is not important. It is extremely important. It's an essential fatty acid. But having this myopic focus on it and only educating on omega-3 and then neglecting that entire side of essential fatty acids it's just lacking an understanding of cell membrane medicine, really, and really looking at what is the cell made up of. And we want to make sure that we provide this patient with support on a cellular level. And that means making sure that we're supporting both sides of those essential fatty acids and not just one. And again, just going back to the consequences of that, when we overdose on fish oil and we're not getting enough linoleic acid, and I don't mean from packages, boxes, bags, restaurants, grocery stores, those industrial seed oils, those chemically processed oils are poison. So I want to make it really clear that we do not want to touch those oils. But there's a huge difference between consuming those oils and consuming raw forms of linoleic acid or cold pressed oils. Those are different animals. So I do want to make sure people really understand that. I'm not encouraging anyone to go out and start eating, hyper processed foods that are riddled with these industrial seed oils. We definitely want to avoid those.
You can explain a little bit why people need to avoid those. I think it has definitely come to the forefront of harmful foods. But since you're specialized in these, fats, maybe you can explain a little bit to people so they understand, all those things that sound, sunflower seeds oil or palm oil, all these different oils that are, all over the place in processed food. What do they do?
Yeah. So first of all, the processing of these oils really turns them. They should not be consumed by humans, period. I mean, they're truly poison. They're processed with hexane, with solvents, with bleaches, with deodorizers. They're often just byproducts of the food industry that they're throwing into processed food just to get rid of it. These are not foods that any human being should be consuming. But when we consume those oils, and they're rife in our food system, so it's very challenging to avoid. But when we consume those oils, we have to remember that those get actually integrated into our cell membrane. Those oils become part of who we are, and that impacts every single thing that happens on the membrane. So all of our proteins, all our peptides, all our ion channels, all our receptors, remember that membrane is the control center of the cell. It's determining everything that's going into the cell. It's determining all the waste that can be excreted. So the assault that has on the body is so significant and it's long lived. This is not a short-term assault. So it's really important for people to be intentional about the oils that they consume and to avoid those industrial seed oils. And it gets harder and harder all the time because they're truly everywhere.
Yeah. So what happens once they have incorporated into your cell membrane? How long does it take to get rid of them?
So that really depends on, I know there's a lot of people that have thrown out like 600 and some days. That really depends on the person. I would say that on average, you're probably looking at, 4 to 6 weeks to be able to integrate new lipids into the membrane, but that's really going to be dependent on the individual, their state of health, their metabolic health. There's so many factors that would go into that. So, but it is, it's not the same as eating a bag of Skittles or something that you're going to have this massive glucose spike and you got exposed to these chemicals and preservatives and artificial colors and flavors that you can detoxify. And not that I would recommend anyone consume that food, but it's much different than these oils that are actually getting integrated into your cells and becoming part of who you are.